We have a couple of extra guest panelists, so I'm just trying to make a bit of room here. Okay, just to introduce myself, I'm Serge Radovcic of the RIPE NCC. I'm going to be the moderator for this next session. As you know, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we get these meetings together, is to collaborate, is to network, and is to come together. And I guess that's partially one of the reasons of the NRENs as well, to provide a network for the research and education institutes so that they can better collaborate and exchange information. I think most of you are aware what an NREN is. Looking at our service region, I think there's about 3 countries that don't have NRENs. And in Europe, or most definitions of Europe, I think that Bosnia is the only country that doesn't currently have a nationwide NREN. So what we thought we'd do today is get a selection of panelists, experts. We have some representatives of GIANT. We have some people from Bosnia, from the universities. They're going to talk a little bit about some of the struggles and issues that they're currently facing and their desire to get an NREN going. And we're also going to have some examples of some NRENs that are already established within the Southeast Europe region. So without further ado, I'm going to let each of the panelists introduce themselves. A few of them have got some presentations. I'll do that to explain a little bit about the situation and where they're coming from. And a couple of the other panelists will just say a few words to introduce themselves, and then we'll get a few questions, hopefully some discussion going. And who knows, by the end of the 90 minutes, we may be a step further to getting an NREN established in Bosnia, if that's not too ambitious. Okay, so Anastas, I'll let you grab the stage and you can make the first presentation.
Thank you, sir. Hi everyone, I'm Anastas Mishev with multiple hats written here. I originally come from the University of St. Cyril in Methodius, the Faculty of Computer Science and Engineering, but I'm also, as representative of my university, chairman of the board of our Macedonian NREN, the Macedonian Research and Academic Network. And the last hat is the one that I'm currently wear, is the being part of the NREN, and through NREN being part of the GIANT project. In the last phase, the 4.3 part of the GIANT projects, I'm part of the working package 3, task 1, which deals with partner relationship, which deals with NRENs, and I'm somehow recruited to try to reflect and make the situation in the Western Balkan NRENs a little bit better. And of course, focus of this is the establishment of the NREN in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Although I don't have the mustaches like Jamie and the other guy from the Meat Busters, I will try to bust a myth here, a myth that says being connected to GIANT. I will try by the end of presentation to explain that it's not about being connected to GIANT, it's being part of GIANT which matters, not the connection itself, but being part of the whole picture. The mission of GIANT is to support the collaboration and development among researchers, dissemination of knowledge, dissemination of information, access to a large portfolio of services and infrastructure resources. GIANT actually runs a membership association where all the NRENs from Europe are being member of. It also coordinates a large amount of European Commission funded projects currently within the Horizon program. Some of the most important and biggest projects are either coordinated or in partnership with GIANT. What is maybe known best for is the network it operates, the pan-European e-infrastructure network that connects a huge number of research institutions and users across Europe and beyond, and manages a big portfolio of services, a lot of services starting with the EDU at the beginning. Of course, it also runs events like this, task forces, it supports various task forces, special interest groups, etc. Here are the logos of the members, over 40 NRENs across Europe, 10,000 institutions, estimated around 50 million academic users, which is a huge number of users. You can recognize some of the logos of some of the panelists here, some of the people that will be speaking today. Looking at the map of Europe, you see the white spot here in the middle, which is the focus of our panel here today, being the last country in Europe without official NREN. Why it's important to be part of GÉANT? Because you are becoming, as an NREN, you're becoming part of the GÉANT governance. GÉANT is governed by the General Assembly, which consists of representatives of each membering NREN, which means you are directly influenced into building a strategy, into making decisions about the development of the research networks and services in Europe. Then there are boards, various bodies within it, but what's important is that it's governed by the NRENs themselves. Of course, GÉANT runs a huge number of projects. The GN project and the GN project currently in the third phase of the fourth project, the GN43 and the GN43N, huge EU projects with a total budget of more than 120 million euros. But there are also lots of other projects that GÉANT either coordinates or is active participant. Projects for trust and identity, like ARC, projects for networking beyond Europe, connecting to Africa, to Asia, to America, etc. And of course, a lot of collaborative projects in the area of e-infrastructures. Maybe it's best known for its network, the GÉANT backbone, worldwide secure high-capacity network for more than over 500 gigabit of high-resilient backbone connecting all those millions of academic users, with the map on the left, how Europe is connected, with the map on the right, how the international connections are being made. It's a separate, ultra-high-speed network dedicated to research and education. Lots of data run through it with high availability and reliability, lots of flexibility in the network available to the users, that they can require bandwidth, efficient operations, efficient support of the incident within this network. An interesting statement from the Large Hadron Collider experiment in CERN: it would not be possible to work without the network that GÉANT and the NRENs have provided, transferring all those huge volumes of data. On the specific service portfolio, of course, there are network-centric services, trust and identity services, storage and clouds, real-time communication, and professional services. Network being one of the most important, and maybe one of the most famous being network IP, that hence the MIT connected to GÉANT. It actually means using only one of the services of GÉANT, which is the network GÉANT IP service. 100 gigabits, multiple 100 gigabits connections available to the countries. Then on top of it, there are various networking services like VPN point-to-point open services, which allows us to connect to commercial organization with relatively high availability. Of course, the availability is higher in the central core of Europe, with a little bit less availability in the rest of Europe. The network is a lot of projects being developed by GÉANT and its partners within the monitoring and performance management, like the Perf Sonar, like the EduPert, like the GÉANT CERT, etc. One of the most interesting services that is somehow being promoted, especially in the current period, is the GÉANT testbed service, or the GTS, which enables researchers to establish a testbed environment that spreads all across Europe. Devices for virtualization, for network virtualization, but also for resources virtualization are available in various points on the networks. Researchers can acquire these services and perform experiments that include distributed resources all over Europe, which is especially useful testbed. One of its size, I might say, because it spreads through a large geographical area. On the trust and identity and security services, of course, the flagship service of all of GÉANT, the one that is GÉANT is most recognized for, is the EduRoam service, the global roaming access. 101 territories across the world, throughout the world, Africa, Asia, Australia, America, of course, most of Europe are covered. 250 million authentications per month are performed within eduroam network. But it's not only eduroam, then there is edugain, the Identity Federation with 3,500 identity providers accessing the service. There is the ARC project that tries to do the same for many other European projects. Then there is the REFETS, the Identity Federation support for worldwide identities, and of course the TF CERT and the TS Trusted Introducer services regarding the security. One of the latest additions to the service portfolio, the In Academia service. It's a very interesting service that enables institutions, not from the academic world, from outside the academic world, to quickly check and verify the academic status of a student or of an academic staff, which means buying tickets with academic discount on anything from any provider, not even remotely associated with the academic sector. Through this service, the check can be done using the federated identities in a very efficient manner. Of course, GEANT includes cloud services in its portfolio because cloud has been identified as one of the technology that is most useful to the users. Here is the GEANT Cloud Catalog. You can recognize most of the big commercial providers. GEANT enables their users special rate through some framework agreements with most of the big cloud providers to get the discounted price and very popular price for the cloud services. Of course, here you can see also academic cloud providers like our colleagues from CARNET or the colleagues from GRNet that offer cloud services to the academic community. On the real-time communication services, also there are services being developed to enable closer collaboration using the GEANT network within for its constituents, for the NRENs, even working in the academic sector, in the innovation sector, trying to raise the awareness, trying to build an ecosystem for informal and formal learning about networking and related technologies. From the consultancy services supporting Europeans, NREN is one of the most important tasks that GEANT does. Single point of contact. Every NREN has a dedicated point of contact that is available for any questions, for any inquiries, including policy, technical consultancy. GEANT is always ready to help with all the administrative procedures required, needed to develop and run. Not only to develop, but also to run an NREN. A lot of community events, a lot of community clusters, of course, the flagship of all being the TNC conference this year in Tallinn, in Estonia, in June. It's considered to be the largest networking, research and education networking conference in Europe with high number of attendees and very interesting talks. And I will end this presentation with this slide about the task forces and the special interest groups. A lot of special interest groups and task forces are administratively supported by GEANT, meaning that they have secretarial and other administrative support from GEANT to organize meetings and to run successfully many of those task forces and special interest group in areas including identity, development, campus networking, cloud, connectivity, and of course, security. I keep my presentation short to leave more time for the panel discussion. I just hope that I made the GEANT closer for you that don't know, and that GEANT is not something you are connected to, it's something you are being part of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that overview of GEANT's work. Okay, we're going to bring it back a little bit local now and jump back into Bosnia. Samir Lemes of the University of Zenica, I believe, has a presentation to give a short overview of the situation here in Bosnia.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to I lost every now. I wish this presentation next year wouldn't be titled like this. So my desire for the past 20 years was not to be the only country without NREN, and I think that this is a very good opportunity to really get the thing started. So my name is Samir Lemes. I'm a professor from the University of Zenica. This presentation is intended to give a critical review of failed attempts to establish an NREN in Bosnia, to identify the obstacles that led to the failures and the reasons why we failed to establish the network. The challenges that we were faced to were various. They varied from political obstacles to administrative and even technological obstacles. I was one of the participants in the establishment of BHARNET. It was the first attempt to establish the National Research and Academic Network in 1998. And also I participated 10 years ago in the connecting public universities in the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina into a fiber optic wide area network in 2008. So I would like to share some experiences with you to analyze the reasons why these infrastructures failed to succeed and what do we need to establish finally the NREN in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Just a short introduction. I'm a professor, so professional deformation is to start with the definition. So the definition of the National Research and Education Network is, by GENT, of course, it's a dedicated internet infrastructure and service provider to the research and educational communities within a country. I guess we have a problem with this within a country because this is part that led to the political obstacles. What is the purpose of the National Research Network is to provide connectivity and to provide, more importantly, the services to universities and research institutes, but also it's very common to the schools, the libraries, the museums, and other public institutions are connected, healthcare institutions are connected into networks like that. This is from GENT. So it's just a survey of which types of the institutions are connected. So we see that primary schools, because they are the most numerous, they lead in the number of connections to the national networks. We already seen this slide before. I really wish that this blank, this white spot in the European continent will diminish very soon. We had some attempts. I know that we had pilots of establishing one of the services that GENT is providing, EduRoam in Mostar. Salko is here. I think he will tell later something more about it. And in Sarajevo, UTIC also. Why things failed? First of all, to understand for the wider audience, well, the locals are aware of this, but for the wider audience, Bosnia and Herzegovina has extremely complex government structures. So for 3.5 million population, we have 13 ministries of education, which is absurd, of course. There is no national authority which would be in charge of research and development, no ministry. There is some section of one Ministry of Civil Affairs, I think, that is dealing with research and development, but not an agency, not a council, not any legal body that would be in charge of research and development on the national level. Some strategies developed. I also participated in developing the strategy of the e-government, e-education, e-health. So informatization of the society in 2004, it was led by UNDP. These strategies suggested that there should be a national agency for information society, but there was no political will to establish it. In Republika Srpska, such agency was established, but on the entity level. We have in Bosnia and Herzegovina 50 higher education institutions, which is a rather big number. There are 9 public and 41 private universities. Well, the reason for this could be that higher education became a business. So I just chose one example. There is a university, private university, as a private company. So we are, unfortunately, we are famous for even selling the diplomas and such things. And I'm not too proud of it, of course, I'm ashamed. Internet penetration rate, I think we yesterday saw some figures. As far as I could reach the most recent data, we have 75% internet penetration rate, which is quite good. So we are almost at the EU level, and we are higher than the worldwide level. So it's not that bad situation. But we don't have the National Research and Education Network. There was an attempt 20 years ago. It was called BiHARNET. It was led by a Slovenian institute from Maribor. It was financed by the government of Slovenia, and it costed about 1.5 million euros to establish the National Research and Education Network in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was called BiHARNET. A governing body was established 20 years ago, jointly by 5 public universities. Actually, it was established by IZUM, by the Institute from Maribor, but the universities agreed to be declared as a founding bodies. At that time, these 2 megabits per second HDSL lines, they were wow. It was a very good speed at that time. So I was very proud to have 2 megabits at my university in 1998, and it was very good. Universities in Sarajevo, Tuzla, Banja Luka, 2 universities in Mostar, Zenica and Bihać, they were all interconnected into BiHARNET with international connection to Slovenian network, academic network ARNES. Unfortunately, after the initial funding provided by Slovenia stopped, the founders, the public universities, should have continued to finance the project, but obstacles came from the universities, the actual end users that would benefit the most from the network, and there was no will to fund the National Research Network. Universities expected the government to fund it, the government or the governments, because we have so many. At the University of Sarajevo, they considered BiHARNET as a sort of competition to the academic network that was established on the university level, UTIC. There was also a sort of dispute between the authority for .ba, the domain name, because BiHARNET wanted to take over the administration of the domain, national domain, but UTIC claimed we can do it better. Actually, they did it very good, and they are still doing it. So, fortunately, it remained on the authority of the UTIC. So, we kept the national BA domain administration. Also, University of Banja Luka, they insisted on establishing subdomain of BA, and it was opposed on the governing body of the BiHARNET. So it didn't work, actually. Telecom operators then jumped in as internet providers for universities, so they, after the BiHARNET stopped working and ceased to exist, actually, in 2000, internet providers just jumped in and provide internet connectivity to all the universities. I see there is attempt 1.0, and attempt 1.1 is CARNET. A good decision by the government of Republika Srpska was when they decided to sell the public telecom company, telecom operator, a set of lease line intercity links was excluded from the privatization. Well, not private, it wasn't sold to the private company, it was sold to another company, but after it was excluded from this sale, and they were given to the sort of regional, not national, but subnational research network. They called it CARNET. Initially, it had some political attempts. For example, at the very beginning, you could register the domain .rs.sr for Republika Srpska as a subdomain, as a sort of some political semi-independence. Then until 2001, there was a subdomain rs.ba, and then it just lost the initial idea. CARNET is actually connected to GNT and CRN over the Serbian National Research Network, AMRES. For years, the only connection was available at the electrical engineering faculty in Banja Luka, but the things changed in the meantime, so they have rather big network which spreads, which really uses this infrastructure. I don't know exactly how much is it being used, but according to the information available, they have /18 set of IP addresses, so it's quite a remarkable infrastructure. So we cannot ignore that and try to establish something new. We have to use it as much as possible. Perhaps this could be some initial starting point to establish nationwide research network. Attempt 1.2 was UTIC, University Teleinformatics Center, which is one of the co-organizers of this event, and I thankful for that. It was established in 1996 within the University of Sarajevo as the first Bosnian internet service provider. It is still acting as the official registering authority for the .ba domain. It connects educational institutions in Sarajevo, faculty, schools, libraries, institutes in the Canton Sarajevo, unfortunately only Canton Sarajevo. It provides some services also, which is very good for the national network, because it's not only about the connectivity, it's about the services. They offer a lot of web hosting, mail hosting, student information services, and etc. They have 2 connections to commercial ISPs, which is not really good. So I would like to see UTIC connected to international academic network. There was attempt 2.0 in 2008, a guy in Federal Ministry for Education. He had an idea to establish similar network as it was CARNET in Republika Srpska. So the ministry made an agreement with BH Telecom as a provider to connect 5 public universities in the federation with 100 megabits optical cables. The idea was to make this network, which would be connected to CARNET and further to AMRES in Serbia, CARNET in Croatia, and GNT. The universities installed the equipment. Every university purchased the equipment for themselves. National Telecom provided the optical intercity links, and the network was tested using the private IP addresses, 10 point. And the ping between Mostar and Zenica was 2 milliseconds, and we were very proud of it. Well, that's remarkable. Unfortunately, the ministry forgot that there are 7 ISO OCI layers, so they stopped at the layer 2, and they forgot that we need IP addresses. And in order to have the IP addresses, we need somebody to manage it. So it failed. If we have National Research Network, what services could it offer? Connection, of course, to GNT, EduRoam, Library Information System. We, in 1998, as a part of BiharNet, the libraries in Bosnia and Herzegovina were interconnected over the BHARNET, and then they switch to commercial service providers. And there is still very good library information system. Also, we have research registries and databases. We could give this national research network to a role to acting as a third computer emergency response team. We could give them a task to improve and to speed up the IPv6 implementation. Perhaps, if UTIC agrees, they could take over the domain registration and DNS, but these are all the options, all the possibilities which should be discussed further. There are some political obstacles to do it. Unfortunately, when they made peace agreement in 1995, they forgot that there is a research and science. Who thinks about research and science after the war? So in these negotiations, in these jurisdictions distribution, they forgot. So they gave the Republika Srpska and cantons to be in charge of education and science, research. Okay, you can deal with science and research as well, because it's also part of the education. This is what they had in mind in 1995. There is actually one ministry in the federation which is sort of unconstitutional, because it's in charge for education and science, but under the constitution, the education and science should be on the cantonal level. So this ministry should be true. I think there is also one ruling of the Constitutional Court that says that this ministry shouldn't exist, but it's a political will. Despite common attitudes, political obstacles came from both Federation and Republika Srpska. In Republika Srpska, there is no way, there is no political will to establish any institution at the national level which wasn't mentioned in the Dayton Accord. It's the strong attitude from Republika Srpska, but also in the official politics in Federation. There is the official politics of blaming Republika Srpska for everything. They are to be blamed for all the obstacles. There is no compromise. And they would like to avoid financing on the federal level. Let's transfer all the financial burdens to cantons. And if you have 10 cantons in Republika Srpska, so how can we arrange the financing of the national network? I don't think it could work. There are some administrative obstacles, because BHARNET failed because its official founders, 5 public universities, refused to co-finance this institution. Now there is an initiative to give the Rectors' Conference authority to act as national research network, but first problem is that Rectors' Conference, they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the people working there. It's actually association of the public universities. Unfortunately, Rectors' Conference does not include these 31 private universities, so it makes it questionable, at least questionable. Also, there is a gap between these public and private universities. PharNet failed, as I said, because they only established the physical connection. And commercial ISPs, they have to be honest, they would like to remain the only providers for educational research institutions. You will see why. In technological obstacles, commercial ISPs offer limited connectivity. Telecoms offer fixed IP addresses, but the costs, if you want to use the set of fixed IP addresses, the prices are insane. This is the actual price list of the BH Telecom. Our university now uses this C option, so it's 2/2 megabits per second, still 20 years after BHARNET, and we pay for it, it's approximately 170 euros per month. This is what university administration can afford. And if you want more speed, you should pay 700 euros for 10/10 megabits, which is still very, very slow speed in comparison to other providers. cable TV providers, they offer high speed at low cost, but there are no IP addresses there. So you cannot establish any service which requires fixed IP addresses. We have the implementation of, actually this changed recently. I think last week we finally started with 4G, and they say it's very, I haven't tried it. I have to change my SIM card in my phone to test it, but it was really a surprise how something that was lagging for years suddenly was implemented within a week. So it was a surprise, but it gives us hope that this could also work in a week. Mr. Mastilowicz, I think he can give some comments on that. Also, we have to use the opportunity that cloud computing, prevailing cloud computing, actually reduces the need for fixed IP addresses because we don't need so many servers. So maybe we can use this opportunity in order to speed up things. And IPv6, as we saw, not only in Bosnia, but worldwide, is still considered a distant future, but we should work on it. So we are counting on RIPE NCC to help us make it a little more, more real. Future challenges, and I will end my presentation with this. To overcome the political obstacles, only a strong attitude from the international actors is needed. To explain this, a lot of things changed overnight in Bosnia if there was the pressure from the outside. By pressure from the outside in this area, I mean RIPE and NCC. And other international organizations that could sort of introduce a little bit pressure towards political decision makers who make these obstacles. So I think this could be a chance to how to change things overnight. Maybe Mr. Mastilowicz will have a comment on that also. Also, to overcome administrative obstacles, the regulatory bodies should act. Also, all these administrative obstacles that I mentioned, we had a regulatory agency, and I think they could do more in order to overcome these obstacles. It's very important to use what's already there. So we have a lot of infrastructure available, services, databases, intercity links, people, expertise, contents. We already have it. We just need to organize it into national research network. It's also essential to overcome the lack of expertise to raise awareness, primarily in academic community, because you saw that a lot of obstacles came from the universities, because they were not aware how important it is to have the national academic network. So maybe we should organize a roundtable for the rectors and try to explain them and to convince them, and invite on this table someone from RIPE, maybe, just or from GN, so you should explain them that we really need this. Don't remain this white spot in the map of Europe. And finally, to conclude, the current actors, CARNET, UTIC, BH Telecom, RAK, they should cooperate, they shouldn't compete with each other. So I will end this presentation with this slide, and I'm open for the further discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samir. Okay, thank you, Samir. For those not working or living in this region, I think you gave a great crash course in the situation and the history here and all the attempts. I counted at least 4 attempts to get an NREN started. So now we're going to head over to Croatia, Darko. If we can, I'm sorry to put you under pressure, if we can move the next couple of presentations along a little bit, just so that we can get into the discussion, yeah? So, but you do have a presentation? Okay. Yeah, I'll just ask you to move nice and swiftly through it. Thank you, Darko.
Hello everyone, my name is Darko Parić. I'm from Croatian Academic and Research Network, and I will talk you about CARNET and our story in CARNET in Croatia, and I'll try to be shortly because of the future discussion. About CARNET, CARNET is founded by the Croatian government in 1995, and I can say that right now we are old 24 years, and I can say that we are very lucky because of that, because this job, 24 years, is a very, very long period. And in that period, you can do a lot of good things, and of course, you can do a lot of not so good things, but I will talk to you today about good things. We are working under the Ministry of Science and Education. We are located in the whole Croatia. Croatia is not a big country, we are actually a small country, but our headquarters in the capital in Zagreb and our regional centers in the cities, big cities in Croatia. Today we have almost 150 employees and a lot of associated plus to that employees, and our annual budget is the 100% state budget, is approximately 15 million euros per year. And one thing which is probably one of the most important thing for the store in CARNET is that our services are free for the users. Because of that, adoption of our services is excellent, and all of our services, I can say that is used by our customers, our members all the time. Because we noticed a long time ago that if we want to be success, everything have to be free for our members, because our members is the elementary, secondary, primary and secondary schools and universities. Our members is everything which is covered by the Ministry of Science and Education. And as you can see on this list, and by few special decisions of the government of Croatia, also we cover today some government agencies, some ministries, and some agencies which is not part of the 100% part of the academy world. One of the, of course, most important thing for some NREN is connectivity. Today we have more than 1,800 institutions connected to over 3,600 locations through the whole Croatia, of course, and the access speed comes from 2 megapseconds to 10 gigapseconds, and we use for the connecting that institution every technology what we can afford for CARNET on that area. It is DSL, least capacity, dark fiber. Even we have our own fiber. I will show you on the next slide. And again, what is important, whole connectivity costs are covered by CARNET 100%. And because of that, we have, I can say that almost all institutions in Croatia are connected to CARNET network. And since 2006, we cover also primary and the secondary school. This is education area. Until this year, we covered just universities and faculties, not elementary school. But it was in 2006 very good decision by the government to extend our responsibility to other area. As I said, CARNET has our own optical infrastructure. We worked with the local communities. For example, in the city of Split, we work with the council of the Split, with the mayor of the Split, and we signed an agreement with the city. It was something like public partnership, and together with the city of Split, we built the optical network infrastructure in Split. On that network, we connected 120 member to CARNET network, and the city of Split, I think today have more than 200 institutions in the property of the city of Split. And every of these institutions are the part of that network. And I can say that on that time we did this project in 2010. We finished that. Our return of investment was 6 months. In just 6 months, we return whole investment in building this optical network in city of Split through the CARNET. And from that time, of course, that money what we don't spend to lease capacity we use for other things, other projects in CARNET. Also, we did that in the Opatija and Rijeka, and we're trying all the time to do similar project in other city in Croatia. It is not hard, it is very complicated because of competition, of course, of private providers, but we are pretty successful in this area. This is shape of Croatia and the CARNET network. As I said, we covered everything what we have from the educational community and the research community in Croatia. One thing in our network, school, we have, of course, we're covering schools. There is pupils. They don't have 18 years. Because of that, we have content filtering just for the primary and the secondary schools for the children in all of these areas what you see in the slide. And from 2009, we established our CARNET NOC center, and we for ourselves, absolutely building, developing, maintaining, operating, and supervising everything what is part of the network in CARNET. And CARNET network in the core, in the distribution, in the access layer, in every layer of the CARNET network. And we are today dual stack network in our core. We can support IPv4 or IPv6. We're working on IPv4 definitely, but in all area we can support IPv6 addresses, as we talked and discussed in the previous panel. Also, we have help desk for our members in the network. In the case of services, today we have more than 17 services for our customers in the whole Croatia. And this is services for the universities, for the primary, elementary school, and every members which is part of the CARNET community. Also, we are part of the one national service. Croatia have one-stop shop for public administration services for all citizens in Croatia, and the CARNET have a national service for that system. We call them e-citizen. It is our national service for all citizens in Croatia. For all of our services, our members must have IE EduHire credentials, which is also part of the CARNET community. And today we have almost 1 million electronic identities in the system in Croatia. It exactly means that we have almost 1 million users in Croatia which use all of our services, not just the network and all services which is part of the network and the CARNET. We are responsible for the .hr Croatian top level domain. We are working on that. We make the rules and regulation and everything about that. I think that we today have almost 73,000 domains in Croatia. Also, we have national cert in Croatia. We are coordinating all other cert in the other area, other part of the government and public administration. We working on that for many years, and this is what we usually work during this year on the CARNET. But my next few slides talks about something which is different in CARNET for last few years. Before a few years, we noticed that we have a very big disadvantage, very big differences between university level and the school level of the digital maturity, digital society. And we recognized that we have to do something in that area, and we started with the project we call them e-school project. Also, we, on that time in 2015, we tried to find money for that budget, and it is very hard to find in the government budget some new money, or especially big money for do something in the school community. And we found that money in the EU, and we started working with the EU funds. And I can say from experience of the CARNET it is excellent experience, and until now we really did many good things. That project had two phases. First phase was pilot, and right now we are in the major project. With pilot we finished last year. With the pilot project, we spent almost 40 million euros to connect in the one big, very smart, with the many services network of our elementary and secondary school. Results of this first phase is on these pictures. We connected in that network 151 schools in all the Croatia, and we built in school almost 2,000 local area networks in all of these schools. We bought and give to schools, as you see, more than 20,000 laptops, tablets, and different hybrid computers because they need to work daily on that hardware. Also, in every school, we equip two digital classroom in every school, and we built 5 regional center in Croatia for collaboration on that project, for sharing knowledge with the other schools. And I can say that the results, what we see today from the pilot project, we actually definitely increased digital maturity of school. We bring and equip schools with adequate ICT infrastructure and equipment. We bring the many e-services to school administration, and we raise the knowledge of the ICT in teaching and learning. And today we have community of practice in our primary and secondary schools, which they work together and working on this ICT knowledge and using ICT knowledge in the schools. Right now we are with our major project. We are planning to finish that project in 2022, and the plan is connect and work with all the school in Croatia. We plan to use 177 million euros from the EU funds, and a number of schools what we will connect and establish that equipment and the services and everything. These schools is almost 1,050. It is elementary school, secondary school, even musical school. Every school in Croatia will be part of this project until 2022. These services, what will be new in all the school, which will be covered by the e-school project, is digital content repository, education management application, resource management system, classroom management system, e-class registry, what CARNET bring to the school. And we plan to our school bring in the new level of the ICT existence. We try to our school be are really part of the 21st century in the manner of the ICT. And we are pretty convinced that with that project, we will do that very soon. And that project right now is definitely one of the most important projects in CARNET. And my last slide, why CARNET actually doing all of these things? Why CARNET doing on that project? Because from our perspective, we are the central government agency for the universities, for the educational system, and we actually have expertise in networking in every other area what is important for that, and we know that our institution don't have that expertise, and the ministry, of course, don't have that kind of expertise. Also, right now, and before 5 years ago, we had and we have high-level CARNET private network what we can extend to our school, and it is very simple and very easy for us because of central procurement. As you know, everything, when you try to procure something big, you have the central procurement, and it will be easier and cheaper for you. And experience of CARNET and experience in Croatia, central planning enables development of standards, a compatible, scalable system what you can that you can do in the future with that system much easier in that way. And because of that, CARNET is responsible for this project. We are the main side in the project, and I hope that during the next few years it will be finished and we can give you our experience on whole the project. And that's it about CARNET and our services. Thank you very much. If you will have a question, I will be there. Thanks.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Darko, for showing us some of the benefits that an NREN can bring, and also some of the catalysts that I think it started over the years. So it's great to see some of those success stories. I think the benefits are clear. Also to the Bosnians, I guess we have other issues at hand. We've just got one final presentation. It's I'm told 5 minutes long. We did invite another guest panelist from the region, Michalis Oikonomakos from CARNET. Unfortunately, couldn't be here, so he pre-recorded a presentation just to give us an overview of the setup in Greece, and I think it's ready to go. So I'll hand it over to him.
Serve as the Greek Internet Exchange Manager, CRH. Hi all, my name is Michalis Oikonomakos, and I work for the Greek NREN, which is CARNET. I currently serve as the Greek Internet Exchange Manager, CRH. I've been working and affiliated with the Broader academic Greece for more than 50 years. And today I will be presenting about CARNET and services. I will hide myself now in order to be able to review you better what's the PowerPoint. So, let's start about saying what is CARNET. CARNET stands for Greek Research and Technology Network, which is a state-owned company, recently celebrated its 20 years anniversary. It provides advanced infrastructure and services to the Greek academic and research community, and is also doing its best to promote ICT in the academic, research, health, and cultural communities of Greece. Let's have a look in numbers in order to be able to understand better the size of CARNET. CARNET runs a private-owned dark fiber backbone network with multiple 10G capacity spanning all over Greece. It connects its members with various speeds spanning from 1G up to 10 gigs, and also provides internet connectivity via ZAN to them. It operates also the Greek Internet Exchange. It has its own HPC infrastructure with hundreds of teraflops of power, and also takes part in the pan-European grid infrastructure with that speed. CARNET has also a public cloud with more than 400,000 VMs and provides VM and storage services. All the above are visible to its 4 owned data centers, 2 which are located in Athens, 1 in Crete, and one in the western part of Greece. Let's see who are the involved parties in the above services. We have a variety of members spanning from universities and institutes to content providers, schools, culture centers, and health centers. I use them from the academia and from the sector and can be citizen as well. In order to sum this up, we have put together the two basic categories of what we do. We provide infrastructure, ultra high-speed nationwide network, data centers, computational storage infrastructure, internet exchange POPs, internet feed via ZAN, hyperconnection, completely remote hospitals, and Wi-Fi access to them. Regarding our services, we provide AI service, HPC, cloud, web conference and broadcasting, eduroam, and people among others. Regarding our network, we have more than 10,000 kilometers of leased dark fiber via IRU, connecting our 340 POPs in over than 50 cities. We have more than 151 connected institutions, each one of them having more than one connection with our network. For example, Greek School Network has 82 connections as it uses CARNET as its backbone network. Moreover, via ZAN, we have a protected connectivity to the internet and with other research and education institutions in Europe and worldwide. Finally, we use our network in order to interconnect our 4 data centers. The next picture depicts a representation of our optical network, just to get the whole picture of how big it is. Then we will name and quickly describe some of our services. Firstly, we have our cloud, Okeanos, which acts our infrastructure as a service. We have Aris, HPC service, for the Greek research and education community, and finally FIMA for our virtual machine infrastructure. Next one, we have ePresent, our secure video conference platform, used, for example, in the election process of faculty members for Greek universities. We offer our streaming services for various events called Diablos. And finally, we take part in EduRoam to the worldwide roaming access service. We provide services to our members via firewall on demand, and we also operate as our team. We have our own AAI infrastructure, and we can issue digital certificates. Finally, we have developed our own e-voting system called Zeus. Moving on, let's see what GRNet does in order to provide infrastructure and services for health in Greece. First of all, we connect to our network Greek hospitals and provide Wi-Fi access to them. We have developed a central electronic management service for the National Blood Donors Registry, hosted in a dedicated data center for health sector in Greece. We also provide Diadosis service, which is an online library providing access to all research and medical publications. Moreover, we provide the Harmony services, which is the high-performance archiving and retrieval of medical online imaging data. GRNet, as a third party and trusted one, also runs GRIX, which is the Greek Internet Exchange. I'm quite sure that the majority of the audience is quite familiar with Internet exchanges and their use toward the evolution of the Internet. We are very pleased to announce that all ISPs, most major companies, and quite a lot of foreign CDNs are already interconnected to GRIX and exchange thus traffic locally. Continuing my presentation, I would like to point out the various collaborations GRNet has made through all these years. As you can see, just to name a few, we have been collaborating with GEANT, Copernicus Earth Observation Program, EuroX, among others. Concluding my presentation, I would like to show you the URLs in order to access GRNet services, which are shown in these slides. And finally, at this point, I would like to thank you all for your attention. I would be more than happy to answer your questions or any question you might have. Also, please remember to check out and follow our social media regarding future updates and new services to our network. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Michalis. I know he's listening on the webcast. Thank you for that and showing off your PowerPoint slide transition skills there as well. Okay, so 3 more quick introductions, just with a microphone from the seat. Elmedin, can you just remind us who you are?
Yes, so my name is Elmedin Selmanović. I come from University Teleinformatics Center of University of Sarajevo. So it has been mentioned on a couple of slides, so you probably figured out the role of UTIC, which plays in this story. So.
Thank you, Elmedin. Tomislav? Yep.
Hello, everybody. I'm professor at the University of Mostar, also head of IT Center at the University of Mostar. We are Croatian University in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have cooperation with CARNET and Serge, and we have also project with the schools in our region. Yeah. So.
Great. Thank you. And finally, Salko.
Okay, my name is Salko Kovacic. I'm coming from Jamal Bijedić University of Mostar, but I'm working in IT department in my university. But I'm also NCP national contact point for ICT in biggest European fund for research and innovation, calling Horizon 2020. Thank you.
Okay, so you've got a bit of background information on Bosnia. I think you put it well when you said that's a complex government setup. I think that's a perfect word to describe it. I think we've now seen the benefits. I think most of the people know the benefits of an NREN and what it can bring. And I think it was great that, Darko, you talked about the cost recovery, actually, and the very quick return on investment. I think this is quite comforting to hear if it can take off in Bosnia as well. I mean, the issues are complex. You know, I was going to get going with other questions, but I think we can probably dive straight into it. There's 3 universities being represented here. I'm getting the feeling that at least at the level of the 3 universities here, the cooperation, the collaboration seems to be relatively aligned. Am I right in saying that? We only have 1 microphone, I'm sorry, so you're going to have to juggle it.
Maybe I could jump in. At the IT level, the cooperation between university would work perfectly. So we could negotiate our protocols immediately, but on the higher level, on the administrative level, then there could be some problems because, mostly because the decision makers doesn't understand the issue. So therefore I emphasize again the proposal that we should maybe organize sort of a roundtable to bring, if not all, but at least a significant number of the universities, rectors, vice rectors for science and research, because they all have these positions, maybe they are more into this topic, and try to explain the benefits and try to convince them to cooperate and to find out which body on the national level could act towards international networks to represent Bosnia and Herzegovina, to be responsible for everything, because it doesn't give only the opportunities, you also get a lot of responsibility for it, so it's not a simple task.
Sure.
If someone would give my university a chance to organize the network and to administer, and I would say no, thank you. we don't have these resources. So I don't know if CARNET or UTIC or this IT center at the University of Mostar are capable of taking over the responsibility, acting as a national network, because I think it would be better than to give this function to the Rectors' Conference. So I think it's something to be discussed here.
Yesterday we have a little meeting. Professor was here also, from the joint member was here. Rector was from the University of Sarajevo was here, Rector Conference was elected here. We decided to send some Rector Conference, send some letter to the ministry, but the problem in our country, it's we don't know which ministry. Yeah, so that is problem, yeah, for us. Which ministry will decide? I think the best way that Rector Conference could be the major point, but Rector Conference, like the professor said, we don't have the people. Maybe in Federation, UTIC have the people, and in RS, CARNET have the people, but anybody else, we don't have enough people to do that. When we see the CARNET, CARNET have the more people there, but they have Serge also, and they have 300 people, I think, Serge and CARNET each. UTIC and CARNET don't have that kind of people. So I think that the best way to go into stage to stage. In the University of Mostar, we tried to do with Rector Conference to go to the first step, because giant network you need political issues. But if you want to go to the other room, Rector Conference without politics can decide it. So the first step to go into the giant maybe is better way to go take the part of other room and also take the part of the giant. But if you need to wait, okay, we have other room, we have the first step. Rector Conference is the NRO, and after that we hope that some ministry we decided to issue with the question. Yeah.
So yeah, I think actually the meeting yesterday was relatively productive, and we are moving in the right direction. It is maybe version 5.0 effort or something like that. So, but then again, I think until you succeed, you keep trying, right? And I have to actually thank Anastas, who was very convincing yesterday, because we have all these issues, but I think the main, I don't want to speak too much about the problem, but rather the solution is, the main problem is that people who really need this is the academic community. It's not the telecom operators, it's not the government. I mean, so the academic community has the major benefit out of this. And they should be the ones who really push for it. And that's what we don't see. So we are always really good at blaming the others. We cannot make it because of these guys. Not make it because of these guys, but actually I think the problem is that academic community directors, they haven't seen the benefit of it. They are like, okay, that's going to help us connect to the internet. We already have the internet. Sure. It's too much effort to go through all of these ministries. Like, I don't want to bother. So yesterday there was rector of Sarajevo, but he was representing the rector conference there. So Anastas was very convincing, and I think he pushed the point of all of the benefits that we can get. And the conclusion was to actually have the rectors conference send the letter, because also the steps to join were very clearly stated. But yeah, so that's what's going to happen. But I think along the lines of having the people, one of the concerns is this is just 8 rectors, what they can do. But beneath them, they have 8 major universities in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which have thousands of employees, right? So obviously, if they decide, they can make some sort of body which would actually be operational and do something. And the good thing also about rector conference is that all decisions they make using consensus. So if somebody is unhappy what's happening, they can stop it. So that should like relax everybody involved, that if something they don't like is happening, they have a mean to prevent it. But I don't see what could actually be problematic here. I only see benefit, not something that's actually
just for clarity for myself and maybe the room. The rector conference that you talked about is just the 9 public universities, or is it all 50? Also the 41 private, just the public. Okay.
At the moment.
Right. Okay, but it probably makes it easier to start with 9 heads than 50.
Well, the important thing is to start.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. We have seen in the region, we have seen various models of NRENs, huge big NRENs like CARNET or GRNet, huge big NRENs that have university support behind them, also like CARNET and GRNet. Very small NRENs like MARNET, very small institution, but also with the help of universities behind. I see here opposite of me Božo, which is also a very small NREN, part of the university. The form, it's not the essence. It's about the starting this and becoming the part of Jean. And of course, Jean can help in various ways here. Jean can help in advisory ways, in choosing the model. But Jean is also very good in spreading the information, in spreading the knowledge. Jean can organize, can support organization of info days, of whatever is needed to raise the awareness even more. And once the awareness is raised at a certain level, I sincerely hope that the bottom-up approach will prevail and that the academics will start asking for it. This has been proven as a good model to start the people asking for the services and for the existence of such entity in the national level,
right.
Getting access to everything that's available through it.
Yeah, okay. So I am hearing there's still a need to clearly outline these benefits, not on this podium, but let me call it a higher one. And I believe that our friends from Gian and others can help, and we should continue to do that. Salko, did you want to add something?
I will say some comments about this. EduROM is one service of Gian. EduROM is implemented at my university almost 5 years. We are using IPv6 almost 4 years. Problem is our academic community, it's very, very passive. Not only academic community, it's research community, very, very passive. We organize many workshops, many info days about Horizon 2020 programs. And on our workshop and info days comes maybe 10 to 20 people. It's a problem. There is too many opportunity in biggest European research program, which one is biggest in Europe. People doesn't want to work. That's the problem.
Okay, let me, Gagana's got a question, I think through HipChat.
I have a short comment from our remote panelist, Michalis. It slightly refers to the benefits that, of an NREN that Elmedin was talking about. Of course, it has a lot of benefits for the academic community, but not only, because consider the fact that a lot of IXPs are run by NRENs, and they can often help the telco growth. So he's also adding that, yes, they're an essential part of each country's internet growth, and they contribute to the local community. They can be a starting point to many new endeavors, for example, establishing an IXP or starting up a NOG community, and this happened in the case of Greece successfully. So, and he also is mentioning that GRNet is very willing to share any updates concerning both the starting of the IXP and the successful NOG community.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting point, and I think it was talked about, that it does become a catalyst for other initiatives, and V6 and G4, 5, and all the other efforts that you're trying to make. So I think we've established that it's a complex, I call it unique situation here, but then, so perhaps it calls for a unique solution as well. Yes?
I'd like to add something. I would like to repeat what I said in my slide, that we should utilize the most of what we already have. So do not create anything new if we have something already there. So we have to utilize it, to use it at the most. Yeah. The first step could be creating a task force, a pool of experts that could offer the decision makers the solutions, that could convince them that we really need this, and that could answer the questions that the decision makers could raise. For example, how much does it cost? How complex it is? How did other countries manage it? So need a set of pool of experts and set of sources, digital or printed sources, something in written that could be given to them as an answer to open questions. So I think this is also what we want.
Absolutely. Look, to be honest, I admire your patience. I think, you know, you talk about your 4 attempts, FARNET and SARNET, and what I was talking about with this unique situation, and perhaps you can talk about as well, Anastas, you've probably seen a lot more other NRENs get set up, is, I mean, what we're missing here is that administrative body that can pull it together. As you said, there is a lot in place, the technical parts are in place, you can lease lines, you can do all that. It's just that one body that we can create, and it sounds like your patients may have to endure the way you describe the political situation. So I'm wondering what else you've seen, what else could be done in a shortcut, temporary method to get this moving. I mean, what else is on the table?
Well, GEANT is there GEANT needs a partner, of course, to have a partner. What happens behind that partner is a national thing, and it can be distributed, centralized, whatever model is selected, but it needs a partner. And I believe that we are on a good way of finding a partner as a GEANT. We are a good way to finding a partner, and then an appropriate model. It can be a very special model, but Bosnia has always been special, and that's the beauty of
this is my point.
The beauty of Bosnia. So I strongly believe that we are on the right path to finding a partner and to leaving these things behind.
Current attempt with Rectors Conference and their letter of intent to some we don't even know who that is good starting point. I applaud that effort, right? But personally, knowing how things work in Bosnia and Herzegovina, that's probably not going to bear any fruit. We had multiple attempts for multiple, even potentially more positive efforts, which didn't bear any fruit. So I think that, as Samir said, we should think about the alternative approaches as well. Relying on public bodies to do their job is not something that they are good at, and relying on letters of intention for something that's obviously positive is not going to be enough. So I would strongly suggest basically establishing the body and finding at least 2 to 3 alternative approaches to this. For example, that could be UTIC that leads the effort. That could be a new body founded by the university that leads the effort. But expecting someone to do something for academic community in Bosnia and Herzegovina is probably not going to go anywhere. Thank you.
Just a brief response. Anastas basically told us the way to approach GEANT is you need a state to appoint somebody. So that's why we need to talk to the state, right? And the ministry, there are 2 actually, which we aim for. The one is a Ministry of Civil Services, which is in charge of education, and the other one is Ministry of Communication, which is in charge of IT and those things. So both of them were yesterday available and present. So then we were actually suggesting that it might be the Ministry of Civil Services. So we need some state body to name somebody who's going to be it.
Is this Rector conference, is it a body in itself?
It is a legal entity, yes.
Right, okay.
So it can be...
but would this be the vehicle to move it forward?
That's the idea. That's the idea. If somebody has better ones, we are very open to it. But that's the way from what we understood yesterday, right?
It's extremely important to start. We, for example, I can share our case. We started with the university center being partner in GEANT, being some kind of a national representative. Once there were right conditions to form a state agency and take over the role of NREN, they continued.
Right.
And it's very common in many countries that did actually happen. Someone will have to take the role at the beginning. Depending on the development later, it can be transferred to another entity or association. We have examples of associations that are actually stakeholders. NREN is a stakeholder company by NRENs, actually, which is being a single representative of all the Nordic NRENs within the GEANT. So every model is acceptable.
Absolutely. But just to separate the issues here, and maybe to make it more achievable, and I don't know if that would be the case or not, leaving GEANT aside for a moment, would it make sense for these guys to get their act together and have something that they can at least call as a body an NREN, and then once that's at least moving along in parallel, be contacting the ministry, to be talking with you. So I mean, this step isn't there yet, right? I mean, it's loosely there, but you guys still need to formalize this. Am I correct?
Well, they are talking to each other. They are exchanging. They are gathered here. That was the idea of gathering as much as possible universities here to start talking, to start exchanging to people, to form the human network. It's actually human network on top, which will build
both the physical and the social network.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
There's one more thing that we should be aware of and be careful, because I was explaining the structure, the governing structure of Bosnia and Herzegovina to one foreigner some years ago, and he said, wow, you have direct democracy. Everyone is in power. Actually, it refers to our mentality. On the Balkans, everyone wants to be boss in his own village. So it's very important that GEANT doesn't do the job, doesn't connect only to a single point. It's good to have the university center as a starting point, but soon you will have the opposition from other universities. No, we would like to be that point. Then from the third, we would like to be that national contact point. So it's very important to keep it on the level of Rectors' Conference, At least. It's good for the beginning to use Rectors Conference because they are now joining 9 public universities, but I hope that soon we will have also private universities interconnected because reaccreditation process already started, and I'm really hoping that some of universities which do not fulfill the basic criteria will be not accredited, so we will improve the quality of the higher education and we will have less players in the playground. And another thing, we are waiting for our new government, so we will have 2 new ministers. These are still in the technical mandate, so whatever you agree with them, it's, I don't know, it's problematic.
Yeah.
So as soon as we have the new ministers, we have to jump onto them. Okay, we need you, so let's do something.
You need to be as prepared as possible to go for that. Yeah, I understand.
Yes, like all colleagues said, we need a start point. The Rector Conference, I think this is the best solution. Nobody have the right to say it's not a good solution. So, but who will do the job? Maybe the Rector Conference will decide it. We need a start point. Also, public university is the best way for now. We also have in Croatia, it's also just public universities. Private universities in Balkan, I would like to say it's I don't know, maybe another topic for the next panel, I think. Also in Macedonia, we have also just public universities. So the major start point, Rector Conference, public universities, that's going to be huge for us. But we need the pressure from the outside. The pressure from the outside is like this conference. Maybe go to the news. Maybe this panel go to the news. Maybe another pressure from the giant is going to be the just conference from the rectors, partners from Croatia, partners from Macedonia, partners from the giant explain what is the benefits. I think that there is just not rectors and academic staffs not understand how important is giant for us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I think there's the pressure side of it where, you know, it can be applied, as you said, through this. And I think there's also the shame side of it. I know even talking to Alexander from the CRA yesterday that he said he hated to be the fact that it was the last country in Europe to have 4G. And I'm sure if you keep putting your map around and maybe on social media spreading this around that it's the last country in Europe, that's also
when we see the 4G, we also see that the pressure from the other side decided that, okay, tomorrow we are going.
Right. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Exactly. Are there any questions, comments, or advice or suggestions from the room? No, you're on your own, guys. But you're right. Look, I think that, and we've proved the point. I've seen it time and time again, and this is one of the reasons why the RIPE NCC gets these meetings together, because there's side issues at hand. And it does give you an opportunity to bring together, and it's on neutral terms. It's not one of the universities doing it or trying to take the spotlight, you know, and that is one of the reasons we get involved in this. I mean, I like your idea of a roundtable. I don't know if it's something that the RIPE NCC should be organising. I'm sure Giant would like to be involved in all the universities, and I'm sure we can make some human resources available to be to lend advice. We have quite a few people that have got long academic backgrounds in research network, NREN network association. So I'm sure we'd be involved in that in the future. Okay, I think we need to wrap it up a bit. Are there any last words or statements or pleas or anything from the panelists?
I have one sentence that I've heard often from my mentor. When I did my PhD in Slovenia, he said he always concluded with "Zdaj veselo na delo," so it means let's work.
Absolutely.
So I think that would be a good close-up.
Question.
Very.
This is not directly connected to the NREN conversation, but since I have so many university representatives on stage, I would just like to repeat the invitation I made yesterday during my presentation about e-learning partnerships with universities, and if you're interested, please do talk to me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then I think we're going to wrap it up on time. Thank you again, gentlemen. It was very enlightening and great to hear the background stories, especially Bosnia. I've learned a lot today. So good luck, and we look forward to it. let's set a goal. I think our SEE 9 meeting next year in April, hopefully we can invite some of you back and talk about how successful the NREN was. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all.